Hello, hey, os, welcome to
You're confusing me.
Okay, all right. I don't want to be a plagiarist here. Welcome to Kirblog. We cover anything and anything that I feel like talking about, with hopes of entertaining and a little bit of enlightening.
We cover everything Kerberfer here on Kerberfer, all about Kerberfer.
That's right. I'm joined by another first-time guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, my name is Mike. I go by VegettoEX, and you will forever be the little kid at the convention saying hi to me.
That's right. That's right. Anime Next 2006. That's what I'll be forever in your eyes.
You will. It's like every cousin that I have is perpetually 7 years old, and you're always just the kid at the convention to me. It doesn't matter how old we get.
Good Lord. Well, it's funny because so Mike has been running a Dragon Ball website since 1990. Like how long ago?
1998. I sound like you're about to say 1991. It's like, well, not really,
no,
that'd be kind of cool.
I wish. He's been running this Dragon Ball website, which has gone through many names. It is currently called Kanzenshu.
That is right.
I've been going to it since the early 2000s, so close to the beginning of its existence, and it has been pretty much the most authoritative fan-run website for anything and everything Dragon Ball related stuff like ever going on. Currently, he and his crew are killing themselves like keeping up with news about this new video game and this new movie that was just announced and all this shit. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're talking about a video game that came out like ages ago by this point. So I recently, I actually recorded it before I moved to California about a month and a half or so by this point. I did an episode of Continue with the fine folks from Normal Boots. And we played the wonderful game that I'm sure you love dearly, Mike, a little game called Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22.
Ah, yes. Intimately familiar with it.
Fantastic game. I like to call it Paper Dragon Ball Z.
I can see why.
Because that's what it is.
No, well, here's the most important question. Did you play the Japanese version or the North American release?
Well, we played the North American release, but but obviously it has the Japanese voice.
I know, but the North American release took out the interstitial character talkings between each other, where it's crayon drawings with blah, 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 blah mouth movements, and I'm so sorry you missed that.
That's right. Well, we did get to experience a bunch of people who had never seen DBZ in Japanese before hearing Masako Nozawa do like 4 or 5 playable characters in the game.
Yeah, and that's how it was back in the day. When Final Bout came out over here in North America in '97, the character select screen was all English voices, but then in-game it was Japanese voices.
Yeah, which must have been like really weird for anybody.
It was
watching
super weird.
The show.
Yeah, like, different cast. I mean, you've covered this on your videos. People know they've heard.
I have. You can go see that. I have Scott to thank for that information because he was the one who did all the detective work on that. But so we're going to talk about a game that is not too old, but not too new. It's one that I mentioned at the very end of the Continue episode because they were like, oh, are there any good Dragon Ball Z games? And I mentioned Super Dragon Ball Z for PlayStation 2. And Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about Super DBZ, because you actually know a little bit about like kind of the creation of it and everything.
Oh man, this goes back to all those rumors back when Dragon Ball games were just getting going again. It was, man, wouldn't it be awesome if Capcom made a Dragon Ball video game? And people think to the Versus series and the Street Fighter games, but really the Versus series with the over-the-top attacks, all that. I'm like, yeah, that would be super cool. We sort of got that. There's a guy named Noritaka Funamizu who used to work at Capcom and worked on the Street Fighter series and on some of the Versus games. He was a planner. He was a producer. Yeah, he went and made his own game development studio, Crafts and Meister. And yeah, they made a Dragon Ball game that was an arcade game in Japan first and then went to PS2.
And it is fantastic.
It is so good. Now, I kind of want to set the stage a little bit because this was really the best golden age of Dragon Ball video games, that kind of mid to late PS2 era, as everyone thinks back fondly on the Budokai series, which are just called Dragon Ball Z in Japan, DBZ 123, Budokai 123. So we had Budokai 3 in whatever year that was, like 2003, 2004. Then we went into the Sparking series, which we got as Budokai Tenkaichi. So you had this kind of awesome trifecta where you had Budokai 3 and then later Infinite World. You had Sparking Meteor, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and then you had Super DBZ. It's like no matter what kind of gamer you were, no matter what kind of Dragon Ball fighting game you were looking for, you were covered. And then you also had some Smash Brothers S games on the side with Battle Stadium and the Jump Stars games on DS. I mean, there was anything and everything you wanted to play was there. And for someone like me who cut his teeth on Street Fighter games, I mean, I was playing Super Turbo in arcades into the Alpha series. And then when I was in college, Street Fighter 3 was around. I mean, just being able to think, a guy who worked on Street Fighter, I can do quarter circle motions and a Kamehameha is going to come out. That blew my mind. And having to cover it from afar when it first came out in Japan, like, I can't touch this game. And my buddy Julian, who works on the site with us, was in Japan, I think the first or second or third, whatever time he went over there before he started living there. He actually got a chance to play it, and he played as Chi-Chi, who's one of the playable characters from the 23rd Budokai. And Julian's not a video gamer, really, never mind a fighting game player, so he got his ass handed to him by some random Japanese person. But hearing these stories secondhand, it's just, it stake through my heart. Like, when can I play this game?
Yeah, I got to eventually play it after hearing these guys cover the game for quite a while now. They were covering it back when it came out in Japan, like several years ago, and I was super hyped for it, just hearing about the concept of it, because yeah, it is basically the Street Fighter engine, like something like akin to that, not literally, but developed by people who worked on it. And yeah, like you do like a Hadouken motion, he does a Kamehameha. You do the Shoryuken motion, he does like a dragon uppercut or whatever.
Yeah, it was always really hard to explain because it's not a 2D fighter. It's on a 3D field. You can go 360 degrees. You can even burst up into the air for a little bit. So you have these traditional Capcom Street Fighter quarter circle motions going on, Dragon Punch motions going on, but you also kind of have these tap-tap Tekken style combos and interrupts and other things going on at the same time. I've never been able to appropriately describe the gameplay of Super DBZ. It's kind of, you got to go play it for yourself.
Yeah, and I can say this because I've played a decent number of the modern DBZ games, starting from the ones that we were getting with Budokai and onward. And they're fun for what they're worth. I mean, you guys have done a lot of in-depth reviews on them, like over many years. For me personally, they're very just kind of like whatever. Like they're just, you have some fun with it, a little trip down memory lane. You have fun doing the moves and everything. But Super DBZ was a game that I willingly wanted to keep playing over and over. And it's interesting because, like when the Budokai Tenkaichi games, the Sparking games were coming out over here, part of the marketing was like 150 playable characters,
right,
which Mike and I both can tell you that's like, it's 5 characters with 120 different skins
exactly
on top of them.
You've got Bata, who moves really fast and does 20 hits in a punch. You've got Super Trunks, who's slow and kicks over his head, and so on and so forth. Yeah,
so, but in this case, what there were like maybe 15 to 20 characters at the most in this one?
Yeah, it was a pretty small selection. And the thing you're talking about where you just want to keep going back and back to it, it's the same as Street Fighter was and even Mortal Kombat was. I mean, Mortal Kombat had a little bit more of a story mode, and especially these days, but I mean, we're not at that point yet. Where you just wanted to do these one-on-one fights over and over and over because the gameplay, the base of the game itself was so solid and so engaging and so intriguing that you couldn't help but want to do one more match. And it could be with the same character 5 times in a row, just like my wife and I will play Ryu versus Ken 20 times in a row, and it doesn't matter. I would be playing my Mecha Frieza for 3 hours at a time, and it was a grand old time.
Well, good jumping point, speaking of Mecha Frieza. So something that's kind of cool that's also sort of sets this one apart, Mike was talking earlier about how Chi-Chi is a playable character, which I think the only other time that's ever been done is I think they had like little kid Chi-Chi in like one of the Tenkaichi games was playable.
Right.
But we have adult Chi-Chi in like her 23rd Budokai outfit. Like she has the sort of like Chun-Li-esque kind of like blue and red garb going on.
And they did some great stuff. They gave her the Basho Sen, which you hadn't heard about since the very beginning of the series, and she fought so differently from anyone else. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, she's got all these cool like items that are different references to things. She has the fan, she has the pole,
right.
She has the Nimbus cloud. There's all these really interesting moves that like really set her apart as a character. And then they also have some other like kind of curveballs. Like they'll have like Majin Vegeta and like Piccolo Daimao, the Demon King, and some other like kind of weird ones. That's right. Adult Gohan in this, or teenage Gohan, whatever you want to call him, I guess. The Buu era Gohan is dressed in like the Kai outfit,
right? And he's got the sword.
And he's got not only the Z sword, I think, doesn't he have Trunks' sword also?
You may be able to equip it. That's the thing about Super DBZ, especially the home version, is as you're progressing and leveling up your character, you can give Frieza the Kamehameha if you want.
Yeah, they have all these like different. I'll get more into that. I was going to say real quickly that they have a sort of revitalized version of Mecha Frieza.
Oh man, are you ready for me to drop some crazy knowledge on you? Because I think I know where you're going, and this is something that we've been researching, and I've spent money to research more than I probably should.
Then please.
All right, so here's the thing. This is like super awesome preview for things coming to Consenshu in the future. So if you go back, there is an IGN article that seems to be the source of this that says Toriyama was consulted and designed the new Mecha Frieza that's in this game. Now, Mecha Frieza in this game is pretty awesome. He's got this giant bazooka on his back, and he can throw explosives. I love it.
Metal scorpion tail.
It's so good.
It's ridiculous.
The way he throws these things, it reminds me, and there's so many connections here, because it reminds me of Doctor and Dark from Street Fighter EX when he goes, explosive. Now Shinji Hosoe, who did the music on Street Fighter EX, did the music on Super DBZ. I mean, there's so many connections going on here. But here's the thing. That information about Toriyama being involved with this Mecha Frieza does not appear to be true, as far as we can tell. So here's the deal. We have researched pretty much everything there is. Now, a lot of these reveals usually go in V-Jump over in Japan. So Shueisha is the company that puts out Weekly Shonen Jump. They do V-Jump, which is their video game magazine. These days they do Saikyo Jump, which is basically Jump for kids or 32-year-old men, because that's how it goes. So we went back to... I had a couple issues around the time that Super DBZ was released. They were pumping it up for the PS2 release. Now, I asked around. I asked people in France, and I asked people in Japan. Does anyone have the stupid issue where they reveal Mecha Frieza? No one had it. I was able to get the exact issue it was, though, so I could track it down. I'm going to turn around and pick it up, because I did purchase it. I found it for 500 yen on Yahoo Japan Auctions. So Julian, who's over in Japan, was like, dude, it's only $5. Can you please order this for me? So we did, and it is the June 2006 issue, which debuts some of the new characters coming to the PS2 version. So just like you were saying, we've got the teenage Gohan here in his Kaioshingi. We've got Videl here. We also have Mecha Frieza. I'm like, all right, let's look at this page. If there was anything that would have a giant splash with a picture of Toribot and some kind of quote, something like that, it would be on this page. There is nothing here. So we've checked not only just the V-Jump kind of debut of this character, the instruction book, various strategy guides, all that kind of stuff. As far as I can tell, everything stems back to this one IGN hands-on preview of the game. And that's the source of Toriyama designed Mecha Frieza. Now, I fell victim to this too. I was like, okay, sure, that's probably correct information. But we can't find a single Japanese source that says this is a thing.
Well, even in 2014, there are still rumors about Dragon Ball things on the internet that just go completely uncovered forever. Like
it's
there
crazy.
Is no OVA.
Well, there is, but it's kind of this, and then it's this, and whatever.
Go read all about that one.
Knowledge bomb, boom.
But yes, that aside, even though it may or may not have even been touched by Toriyama himself. There is a very, very cool, it's basically, the way that I interpret it is if Mecha Frieza got there before Goku or Trunks could do anything, and he just rained terror on the whole planet.
And he was awesome.
Yeah, and he had a fucking mechanical scorpion tail and a bazooka latched onto his back.
That's right.
So real quick too, let's also talk a little bit about, because we're nearing towards the 20-minute mark already. Let's talk a little bit about the customization system, which we were alluding to a little bit. What's cool about this is that they have the basic modes. You have arcade mode where you fight Cell at the end. You have a versus like endurance mode where you can just keep fighting opponents over and over.
Right.
And there's also a mode that allows you to build customizable features about your characters. Everything from their color scheme, their outfit, their moves.
Oh yeah.
Some cases their weapons. I recall having I believe a red jacketed Trunks with a lightsaber.
Yep.
Which so. there's that. But you know more about this system.
No, that sounds about right to me. It was everyone made Trunks with a lightsaber and a red jacket because that was the most badass thing to do.
Yep. Did you do any other? I mean, I don't know what some of the other because I rented the game, I never owned it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I primarily played as the awesome Mecha Frieza, so it was like I alluded to earlier. Just giving Frieza the Kamehameha was the best thing ever.
And then, of course, what was the con where Ryu Senekawa actually did that?
Oh yeah, he's definitely said it before, and it's the weirdest thing to hear.
And it's amazing.
Well, that's one other thing to note is this was a period when Atari had the sublicense over here, even though Namco Bandai, whatever the company was at any given time, was producing it. They were doing bilingual releases. The weird thing is Super DBZ was not a bilingual release. And it actually came out in Japan first, and I was all in on the Japanese releases. I had a Japanese PS2. So since it came out first in Japan, I just bought the Japanese release. So I got the Japanese voices there, which is what I wanted anyway. And there's one extra track of music in the Japanese version that is an allusion to the do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do kind of general, yeah, you know it, that kind of battle music from the Shunsuke Kikuchi score. And that track is not in the American release. So there's some cool bonuses over there.
Cool. Well, I would say, and I'll even link to some Amazon stuff of it or whatever, please do yourself a favor. If you have a PlayStation 2, if you have a Japanese one, you can pick up the Japanese copy if you feel like it.
It was $10 on PlayAsia. Oh, no, that was Infinite World. It's probably still $10 for Super DBZ, though.
Yeah, seriously. And on Amazon, I just looked up earlier, it's like maybe $20 at the most,
yeah,
probably even cheaper than that. Super Dragon Ball Z for PlayStation 2. It is a fantastic game. It is such a hidden gem that nobody has ever heard of. I just remembered too, I did talk about it a little bit on Trailer Drake's Unpopular DBZ Game Opinion video, and gave it a very abridged version, version of what we're talking about here on that, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with it. And since also, kind of cleverly tying in, since because the DBZ episode of Continue came out this week, and next week the movie is coming out in theaters.
It is.
Mike, you're going to go see that, I imagine.
I am indeed.
I am as well. I'm sad I was going to go see it with Kyle Aber, but unfortunately I didn't get a ticket for the theater that he's going to.
And you're on the other side of the country, so you can't see it with me either.
Well, you know, I would have a little Konzenshu mini meetup if we could do that, but shrug. But yeah, so we're gonna go see that. Everybody listening, go do that too, because this is a very rare opportunity that, you know, who knows if it ever will come again.
Right.
If you can go see it at a theater that's close by, please go see Battle of Gods. It's fantastic. It's a really genuinely good movie. And if you love DBZ in any capacity, you will love it. So go see that in theaters. And before that, on the way there, go get yourself a copy of Super DBZ and play the shit out of that.
That's right.
Oh my god, so good. So, Mike, thank you for joining us.
You gave me a chance to talk about Super DBZ for the first time in years to someone who wants to hear me talk about Super DBZ. So, yeah.
I want more people to know about it, so I hope that this will spread around a little bit. Do you want to, I mean, obviously, I'll have the link to the site and stuff. Do you want to plug, like, the YouTube or anything? Or,
Sure. So, www.kanzenshuu.com. That's Kanzenshu. If you can't remember how to spell that, you can search for things like DBZ Podcast, Best DBZ Website, Old Men Running DBZ Websites. It'll bring up the site.
Christ almighty. I go to that. I'll have a link to, in the video itself, I'll have an annotation that goes to his YouTube channel where you can listen to the Konzenshu podcast. They do them quite often and talk about literally everything that's ever happening with the franchise.
Yep.
And the most reputable sources pretty much you're ever going to get as far as people on the internet goes, so go check them out. And thank you for listening. If you have played Super DBZ already, or if you're interested in or have any other thoughts about DBZ games in general, please, in the comments, let me know your thoughts. If you buy the game, especially, and when I'm going to go play it, and please tell me what your thoughts are on it, let me know in the comments. And if you have ideas for other future Kirblog topics, you can leave a comment about that too, or you can be up on the usual Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, all that shit. That's going to do it. Mike, thank you again very much, and we'll see you guys next time.